This conference will now be recorded.
I'm not sure if Mike's gonna come or not to do this.
Okay, I guess we're okay. Call to order. We're all to order here. So let's take a look at the agenda and then ask for a motion to approve. Any additions, changes to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Against? And then approved. And then move on to the minutes.
The minutes that you're looking at now are the most accurate. The ones I sent out in the packet, I forgot to update the attendance sheet.
Okay.
A motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Accounts payable.
And there are two Minnesota Energy payments just because the month timeframes overlapped. So one of them is from, I went through in April. So we have a May, what would be February and March.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, unfinished business. Priority list project updates. So the list is in the packet.
So I don't have any updates, but I do have a comment or question. Is there any reason we had voted on this and approved to proceed with the concrete work for the dugouts like last October or September? Is there any reason why we still cannot proceed with that? I hadn't got any formal quotes, but I guess Mike and I were working on getting some more firm pricing on the structure and things like that. But as far as just like the overall concrete flat work, way back when we did I did the fundraiser back in September of last year, we had all sorts of volunteers and different things. And then it was whether or not we could use the city skid loader and the city dump truck to get rid of some of the stuff with the concrete quote was there. I'd like to refresh those quotes because pricing has gone, through the roof with everything. I'd like to get updated quotes and then have permission from the park board to just proceed with at least the concrete work before the baseball season starts getting very busy. I know that Miranda and I have been working on the actual calendar for the field, but I think that we could still between now and probably May get someone in there to at least start putting the flat concrete down in the 4 locations where the future dugouts would be. And I know we had nearly $4,000 from my banner stuff from years ago. So I don't think that we're going to be out tons of money to just do the concrete work. Mm-hmm. And then building the actual dugouts or fence work can be done anytime throughout the course of the year. But I'd like to get the concrete work done before we get too far in there.
So now on the concrete pads, I don't know what you were talking about, adhering those posts to the concrete. Like, are you gonna put little,
anchor bolts?
Yeah, joist hangers or something right into the concrete or
worst case scenario, if we don't have the footings or post holes dug all the way down in, there's no reason why we couldn't put the posts on the outside of the concrete
and just dig it down
all the way down in, just auger them down in and concrete them in place where they're at, and then just do the fencing on the inside of the posts, if you will. It doesn't have to
Yep.
be. I just want to get the concrete work moving so we can get that out of the way and get it functional.
We've already voted on, or we already moved on that, right?
Yep, I'm pretty sure we did. The only thing I'm scared about is if the concrete work comes back higher than the $4,000 that we currently had earmarked specifically for that work. I had done some fundraising in years past for that. But obviously we have in the estimated budget 40 for the whole entire project. Now with prices doing everything they do, that may cut into all of the extra curricular stuff that we want to put in there, like little pitching bullpens and things like that. We may only get just the covered dugouts this year, but that's my goal, is that by the time the season starts for these youth and for the women's softball, we can have fully functional enclosed dugouts for them come like June timeframe.
Just one comment, Troy, with that, we
Yep.
want to get new benches
Yes.
in there too, so that's going to be quite a bit. I mean, those benches get expensive for whatever reason. I just looked at them, it's been a while since I've looked, but
Yep, the ones that I had shot you last fall, the aluminum versions were like $1,500 a piece for like a 12-foot long aluminum bench that would be a no maintenance, just sit in there and they could be anchored down so nobody could take them or steal them or whatever.
they would be anchored, those were anchored on top, nothing that had to go in.
Correct.
We should
Into
be
the
probably
cement?
We could just use like the red grips or whatever, the red heads, right into the cement. Yep.
Correct, we could just hammer drill it right down into that slab and
We
just.
should probably look at getting those ordered sooner or later, because I don't know what the time.
I'm sure there's
I
a
like
back
that
order.
idea too,
Probably
with-
like-
With lead times the way they are, that'd be
Yeah.
another good thing to get on order.
We have so much stuff that's just doesn't get done very fast anymore, so.
Absolutely. So I guess that was my only thing, and to your
Yep.
point, it was already approved, so.
Yep. I think get the quotes, and then if it's more than what your 4,000, then do that, but I think you need to move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else with the priority projects?
Mary, can I jump in?
Yeah,
Hey, Mike and I think we talked a while ago about slowly replacing the picnic tables up on, I think, I don't know if this is part of the priority, but it's kind of up on the shelter on the outside there.
on the patio.
On the deck.
On the
patios
deck?
up there. Yeah, we were gonna
Okay.
slowly replace like 3 a year or something, and I know, Mike, were you talking about getting some pricing on that?
Yeah. Yep. I think they were, you and I looked at it once too, I think they're not cheap either, I think they were $2,500 a piece or something.
How many do we have? How many do we use there?
Oh, there must be 7 of them outside,
So 2.5 years then
yeah.
to get it done?
Is there that many on the deck, or is that in combination with the little pavilion down below?
I think there's, I can't
Let
remember.
me look, I've got a picture.
I think there's six or 7 on the deck, there's quite a few on the deck.
Yeah.
I like the idea of just a replacement program.
Mhm.
If you guys haven't got one, we could propose, finding a way to do however many a year would fit within the budget. Because obviously some of those old wood ones, they don't refurbish well. I know there's some of those old hand-me-down ones over at the ball field, and they're pretty squirrely, and at some point could be almost a safety concern because the wood is really not good. So with the ones you're replacing, are you talking about like an all-metal type one?
It's like the
Yeah,
one
like out here?
East
Yep.
Park.
Like
and
the ones
stuff.
right by the entryway? and the-
Yeah, last year East Park got some, and that's what we were trying to stick to, I think, all the way around, coated, nice.
Coated, nice.
Yeah.
I like those, especially up, higher where you don't have to, in an emergency, go quick, grab them and get them out of the flood.
It would be nice to know how many we need to have for all of the park system, and then just start replacing like that.
Correct.
Do we have to have a motion for that?
I think that.
Or is that just on the plan?
Put the price for it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Quotes.
That works.
Okay. All right. Anything else there? If not, we'll move on to the pool update.
I talked with Josh from Burbach. He's not inclined to go ahead and move forward with a capital campaign. until we know how much we can tell people that you're asking, which I think he told us that before. We talked about having him at this meeting, but he said, you know, there's really no sense for him to come to this meeting until we get that squared away. And I don't know where Brian's at. Well, I know we're working on those with Ellers and David Drowns. We're coming up with the capital projects. They're gonna get us, that's gonna be a little bit yet, but.
That's gonna point them in the right direction.
Correct. So that's where I recall we left off, was Brian was gonna go back to the city and get a number, like what they were willing to
And that was
commit
working
to.
with whoever we hired to do those capital projects.
Yeah, and we're voting on Thursday about that, so.
Correct.
So next month, maybe?
Well,
Well, I mean,
No, did
that's
he-
just gonna begin the
Did you get that
process.
email
Oh.
that he sent out?
you just ended up.
No, or
It's
did
gonna
he
be a
tell me in
process.
person?
And
He
then
said
once
he said it's gonna be a couple of months.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
for
So
them
he
to
said
do
that
it. But-
he's more inclined to say if they need a number now, that the full amount would need to be raised.
Okay.
If that was, we decided to go and start fundraising, that would be a number that would have to be thrown out there.
So if they wanted a solid number, then the number would be 0.
But again, that's, I think we've got in place to hire Burbach to help with that capital campaign.
Yeah, once it does start.
I think just keep that in mind because I think they're pretty particular about how they, I mean, he's not inclined to do anything, you know, and I guess if it's a full number, which I don't know if that's fair or not to do.
That's a lot.
They need a goal
Yep.
of something to tell people, so.
And both parties involved that we're voting on are well aware of this project and the multitude of it.
Okay.
Priority, and
Yep.
that we're limited time with the one we have, so.
Yep. Okay.
Can I throw something out there for you guys?
Yep.
I've been thinking about this, you know, this keeps getting pushed back and back for this pool and stuff, and we're gonna we've eliminated the little pool. And I've talked to Mike back and forth about this of you know, a splash pad is gonna be, if we put it separate, it would need a pump and a heater all by itself. But the thing I like about that it gives us a month or so beginning of the year and a month or so at the end of the year, because we don't need lifeguards for that. I know it's, you know, extra stuff in that. But I've just been thinking about that. It seems to me with this getting pushed back on how much money the city's gonna give us, it's gonna be a few years probably before we get a pool. My thinking is, could we raise enough money to get like a splash pad going if we're gonna do it all separate, you know, at an earlier time than the main pool?
And I know Brian had mentioned that there is a contributor around town that had mentioned something about that too. So, I mean, it might be something to look at, you know, and, you know, seeing the numbers for that, I agree with you, Fred. That's something that the park board could totally shoot for and accomplish in a
You know, and if
reasonable
that's something,
time.
that's something we could raise the money for, you know, we could have a, you know, splash pad in for next spring, you know, for the little guys, and then, you know, keep on moving forward with the big pool, but at least we'd have that done, that portion of it done.
Yeah, there would have to be a lot of consideration for that, Fred, just so that all the layout and everything was all in conjunction with the new plan. So there was no jumping or moving or having to worry about that. And the new pipes were in process for the new building and whatnot.
Right,
That
I
would-
know in the last plan, they kind of had the splash pad down further, and yeah, we'd have to get it laid out so we could put that in there, but, yeah, I think that's something that we should maybe look into, as, you know, just to see, you know.
Yeah,
Does it-
and it would give something to be open to while the pool is getting built, because that is going to be a process.
Absolutely.
I think the last time we talked to Burbach, a splash pad by itself was gonna be like $750,000. But we surely could start fundraising for that right away here if that's something that we wanted to do.
I like that idea, Fred. I would just consult Burbach before we do it and find out if we do this in phases, if that slows down the progress or impedes any of the progress during the regular construction of the pool, or adds more cost, but I definitely like the idea of a totally separate splash pad. And if you could do that and have that up and running as kind of a temporary workaround, because that was always a concern of mine, is if we could be doing the new construction of the pool while the existing pool is closed, but obviously you're refurbishing an existing pool. You're just basically digging out the existing pool and putting it right back in the exact same location. You can't have a functioning pool while this one is being rebuilt. So is that going to also be a hindrance if you got a permanent splash pad very close or nearby?
I know when we first talked to Burbach and stuff, we had asked them when they would, put a new pool in, and they said they would start that right after the closing, like in August. And then it would be built in the off season then.
So it'd be ready by spring.
Ready by spring, yes.
Said like June, July.
Right, probably.
I think they were shooting for July, mid-July or whatever, but he said June wrapping up, July opening. So it'd be, you just lose that spring is the way that they had it set up through Burbach.
Right, 100%. But where I was going with that is if we do this in 2 years, when the patch on the current pool is done, so starting the fall of 23, I'm just throwing out theoretical numbers, but the fall of 23, if the pool closes and we already have a working splash pad there, what would happen as soon as you start moving in big excavators and you're digging up the old pool, you'd probably have to shut down the splash pad anyway. And then in the spring, you got to still finishing off the construction. So you lose that early and late season that you were hoping to have that thing in there ahead of time anyway. But I love the idea of having it completely separate, to your point, Fred. Now you can keep that thing open, unlifeguarded, and get that additional value add to all the people who are in town or in the campground or from other communities that want to come in early or stay later in the season and use that, especially for the younger kids. Great idea. But Burbach would probably be able to tell us how much that would hinder the actual construction of the pool. And I love the idea of maybe doing that, if it is not a hindrance, doing that ahead of time. That could be done as early as, maybe next fall if we had the money. Because with any luck, we're going to get another 2 years out of the pool.
Right.
Nope, just a thought.
Good
Great
thought.
input, Fred.
Yep, thank you. Anything else? Okay. Yes, please.
Welcome back.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank
welcome
you.
back.
It's good to be here. Okay. Okay, I have a whole
Thing of.
Fully staffed already?
Oh.
I'm sorry, I heard that.
We could only wish, right?
My to-do list. No, okay. So some of the things that I just wanted to sure up, so then when I have conversations with kids who have applied, was wages, but I see that that's in the packet, so we can talk about that when we get there. I did want to talk about how we do and charge for private lessons and would take any input from anybody.
Do something.
Okay. Well, it's been a couple months. So, no worries, but I just want to talk about private lessons and how we will charge for them and or compensate lifeguards for them. I know that we, in the past, have just charged and paid the lifeguards their hourly rate, but I know that at some of the surrounding pools, because we have guards that work at both, they're getting paid for basically because they work at the pool, they get the ability to use the pool after hours, and then they charge and receive that money instead of, and I think that there's people going to other places because they know that, well, they'd rather teach a private where they can make more money than if they can make their hourly wage, which I understand. So I just wanted to look at that and see what some of the policies are from other pools, which I have not reached out to them yet, but would like any sort of input or thoughts about that. Right now I have 14 guards that have applied. One of them is new. But 14 is not enough.
Yeah, you said usually around 24, right?
Last year we had 17, and it was tight at times.
Yep.
So 20 I'd be really comfortable with. I feel like 20
Yeah, I
I'd be
remember
like,
you had a
yep, that'd be
couple of
fine.
weeks.
So yeah, hopefully. So if you know of anybody, or if you talk to people, or if you have the ability to go share the pool Facebook page, that I have the application, it's just a Google Doc that's on there. If you have the ability to share that, please do. I will take anybody and everybody that wants to apply.
So I think with that, I'd reached out to Goodhue went to the city clerk over there, Jill Buxengard. And she said they have interest in training, their guards training with ours, which I think is always great. We've
Yeah,
worked
oh,
with
yeah.
other cities, Pine Island before, and we can certainly do that. But I think that's also a good point of helping crossover. If, you know, if they're short on somebody or something, at least we can, I think that helps fill some of those voids. You know,
Yeah.
I still like to see the numbers up there, but it also helps in filling some of those voids. Plus, we'll have the regular MMUA training this year with Mark Hoddle again, and we'll include Goodyear with that, so.
Perfect. And I know that they have a new pool manager this year, I believe, and
Yeah.
I think she's has worked at the pool in the past, I
Could
think, but I think she's fairly young, which is fine. So that'll be kind of nice to be able to work with someone else too. Yeah, if we do that.
And then at Pine Island, I don't know, in the past, people have just reached out. We worked with Pine Island before in the past for a lot of that guard training.
Yeah.
So whatever works out.
So in regards to guards, so I'm trying to plan all the lessons right now. And I have like the weeks figured out of when I want to host them, and I can give them all to you. I have the document made for lesson sign up. It's obviously not finalized because I want to have all the details first, but with the dates, and they are kind of spread out throughout the summer. It's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off throughout. So there's 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in July, and 2 in August. But I want to consider and take input for, just because of the lack of guards, last year lessons were tight, as it was with 17. And now with only 14 applying, like I had 21 apply last year and ended up with 17. So my fear is with 14 that I end up with 12 or 11. And that's just not really that doable to staff a full lesson all the way through. When you have levels 1 through 6, you need at least a guard per level, someone at the front desk and someone guarding. So that's 8 people that already work in the morning. And if they're not all available that day, then they have to work through the day. And that just, it gets a little overwhelming. So I've been thinking about staggering lesson times. So maybe doing levels 1 and 2 and then 3, 4, 5, 6. And I say it that way because 1 and 2 are always the more full ones. So then if you have, 4 guards, you have 5 guards instead of 9. Like I needed 9. You need basically 9 to staff the full, at least 9 to staff the full 1 through 6 in the morning. But if you break up the lesson times, then you could, usually 5 and 6 are together and 3 and 4 are separate. So there's 3, 1 on the stand, 1 inside. Same with levels 2 and 1. Usually 2 with level 1, 1 with 2. Then you're staffing both those 2. So I think I don't want to plan to have less people, but it scares me to sign people up in less than a month for lessons when I don't know I have the people to staff it. Because then where do you end up on the backside of that? If I don't find the people and I don't have all the guards, then I can't run the lessons and people have already paid for them and scheduled them and this kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at thought-wise. If anybody has, the only thing I know is that families come and they want to have all their kids in lessons at the same time. And so that's the tricky part. And I get that. But they are only a half, like this time, last time, we kind of expanded the times because we didn't know where we would be at for social distancing and that kind of stuff. So now I can kind of shrink that back down a little bit. Instead of the 50 minutes, it can go back to 40. So then the smaller time frame. So we can fit another session in there. I don't know. I just taking thoughts and inputs
Looking for a part-time job.
from anybody.
I was gonna say, I used to be a lifeguard, like, you need me to just come and sit a couple days, because I can on my days off. I just work 2 to 10, so it's hard for me to.
Do you have to have a lifeguard at the desk or could it be?
It can be somebody that doesn't have a lifeguarding license. So if I can hire someone that's, like I have somebody who's applied, but she doesn't turn 15 until the middle of July. So she can't get her lifeguarding certificate until then. But if I can hire her to work at the desk during those times, then that eliminates a lifeguard person, that piece of it. So I can do some of that. But if I have, if I end up with 12, 13 guards and I have to have 9 or 10 on in the morning, then you're gonna have them work from 9 to 7.
Yeah.
That's, I can't do
That's a
that,
lot to
especially on those
ask.
hot days.
Yeah.
And they lose focus and then they're not as good at what they're doing anyway. And I wanna make sure that it's safe as well.
When do you typically have the lesson sign up? Like, where's your deadline? When do you need a?
So last year we did May 4th. And 5th. We are looking at and have talked, yeah, it's gonna come up real quick. We have talked about doing an online sign up versus in person. And I kind of found a platform to be able to do that. It's called Sign Up Genius. But we have to have an account for the money to go into. So we've kind of been talking about, and they're gonna talk about it at the city council meeting on Thursday. But opening like just an account that doesn't have anything in it except for the stuff that comes from this company, so that there's nothing that's attached to anywhere else that has much money in it. Which I think would be great to be able to do it online. And there is it's like 15%, no, what did I say, Maria, 5%?
Service fee.
I think it's 5% and 50 cents per transaction. So instead of like a lesson costing 48, it costs, or 45, it costs like 47.25. But they pay credit card fees when they pay in here anyway. And so I thought we could just say, you know, here, sign up starts at this day, I'll open it right here. And I'm able to put time slots on there, so as soon as it's full, it goes away.
Correct.
Which is really nice. And then, if they don't wanna pay online with a card, then they just have to pay at the pool when it opens. That's just gonna have to be the, kind of the option, I guess. I don't know, I just feel, yeah.
I think the online sign up is a huge bonus. I think that's the wave of the
Yep.
future.
I
The current
agree.
process that everybody is doing it that way. Back to your original question though, you asked about input from ideas or concept on how to pay the guards for lessons. Would how you pay them make any changes to how you schedule the lessons? So like when you had
So
talked
the
about before.
So private ones
lessons-
come outside of pool time and
Gotcha.
outside of lesson time. So they're either like evenings or mornings when we don't have lessons, or in between. So they might be a half-hour session. And so I think we had charged, so some pools will do, like, you basically, to pass a level, you have to do a certain amount of skills.
Yep.
So we have said, nope, you have to pay $200 for 2 weeks, 30 minutes a day. But you only can pass that one level during that time. Well, maybe a kid, if they're one-on-one, maybe they need 4 days, but it costs more, you know what I mean,
Correct.
per time. So they're able to do like, okay, we're gonna do this many sessions and see where we're at. Or they take kids, okay, maybe you need 15 sessions to pass your level, because you just need that extra support and time, then the parent just pays for that specific time.
Correct. So what you're asking though is should the pool be doing the private lessons and paying the lifeguard and facilitating all the private lessons? Or are you thinking about letting the lifeguard basically contract themselves out and just get paid? Because I know other pools that do that, where you
Yes.
literally just call up Kayla and say,
Yep.
hey,
Or they
I
say
want to
like,
do a private
or
lesson.
somebody
Right.
reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm looking for a private lesson. I say, okay, here's so-and-so's number.
Yeah.
Or so here's the email for that or whatever. And then whoever can do it decides to reach out, and then they kind of contract their own time that way.
Right.
And I don't know where that question has to go to, but I just know that it's a concern that the guards brought forth last year, and I understand it.
So when they come to pay for lessons, they pay the pool. And then the pool cuts out theirs to them, like their wages that they would earn from private
They just
lessons.
pay
Okay.
get paid per hour, but if, it doesn't really make it worth it for some of the guards, because if they come in at 7:30 for a lesson,
Mhm.
and they're there for a half hour, then they made $5-6,
Right, okay.
you know, where like somebody paid.
I've worked at pools where they've
$30
done
for.
both. So
Yeah.
like where they come in, they just pay the pool, like, hey, here's for my lesson, whatever. But I've also worked at a pool where they're like, okay, well, we've done 2 weeks, like, what do I owe you? And then you just charge, like, so it's just kind of depends like how they charge it too. So do they charge it like their wage, or is it less than their wage? Like per half hour? It's not like a specifically set price?
No, I think
Okay.
it was more so like per lesson session, so maybe it was
Okay.
$15 per 30 minutes, or whatever, I don't know what it is that they
Okay.
charge at these other pools, like the guards themselves.
Okay.
But I just know like a lot of the guards are like, well, if I can go to Goodhue and get paid $30 to do 2 sessions, why
Right.
would I get paid $10 to do
Okay.
it here, you know, in 2 30-minute
Okay.
sessions, because you're making $5, so.
I have a question about insurance and liability. If they're private contracting with the parents
Yep.
to do a license, whose insurance is responsible for what happens with those kids?
And I don't know the answer to that.
We need to know the answer to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
agree, and that's why I wanna let's like, it's just something that's been brought forward, and I don't know how it works in other pools and how that, I don't know,
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Assuming that if they're an employee of the pool
Yeah.
and something happens, then they're
They're
covered by the
Right.
city of Zembroda's insurance,
Right.
right? But if
So
they're
could
private
we-
contracted, yep,
So could we handle that the same, still run it through the pool? That they pay for the lessons through the pool, but you just pay the lifeguard more at that time?
I don't know the answer to if that works well, but that seems like a fair,
Private
Thing
lessons
to
would be
me.
a direct pass through or however.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah. Because,
They don't-
Legality things. need to be-
yeah, I would hate to have that poor lifeguard that's how many years old, have a kid
Right.
drown on him and then be sued for it.
Right.
No, I agree.
So do you know which surrounding communities do it right now? Is Goodhue one of them?
I know Goodhue does it.
Okay, and do you know if
I
Pine
know
Island or
it's
anybody
separate.
else does, or?
I believe that Pine Island does too, but I don't know for sure. I do know that Goodhue does because we have guards that work at both. And that's
Okay.
where the-
Well,
that's
so-
when the
Yeah.
concern-
So now they have a new pool person in Goodhue, but maybe they know how it transitions over, so that might be something to reach out and see
Okay.
Mhm.
what they do as far as their liabilities and stuff like that, because that'll give us a good basis too.
But it doesn't make any sense to pay him $5 for a lesson, a private
Yeah.
lesson either. That, Yeah.
And the two pools that I'm gonna reach out to are the two that I used to work at, actually. So, one of the towns is about the size of Zumbrota and the other one is about the size of Goodhue. So I can try and get as much information as I can. I actually Googled their phone numbers so I could remember to actually call them this time. Because otherwise I will forget, so. Okay, I made a note on here, so I'll ask that.
And then if anybody has any thoughts or input, even if you want to think about it and then email me, just like on lesson staggering. I am hesitant to commit to a full schedule. I don't know that I can staff a full schedule. That
When are
makes
you
me
gonna
nervous.
list it? You said that it closes by May 4th, right?
Whenever I can figure, no, that's when it would open.
Oh, gotcha.
For the
Gotcha.
lessons.
Like I will say, I'll put out a document, I'll just hold this up.
So you're gonna
Same
you're gonna advertise come May 1st or May 4th?
Yeah, same
Okay.
thing that came out like last year, here's the lessons, here's the times, whatever, it's hard to see, but. And then this is when the sign up is and the time, so I won't post it till the beginning of May. I can even wait till right after the park board meeting that day, like maybe I say I'm gonna post it the next day, I'll just have everything ready. But I wanted your guys' kind of input onto what, if you have any thoughts, or ideas about it, and hopefully I get a couple more guys.
As long as the financials work out, I fully support the online sign up genius. I think that's great.
Yeah. And you can do it two ways. You can have it, paid for either way. And so we can charge what it basically, if we want to pay the fee, but we want to just charge slightly more for the lesson to cover the fee, we can do that, or we can charge regular, and then it just says there's this fee. And you either accept it or you don't. And if you don't, then you just have to come pay in person.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. I think you're gonna
I
get people
think
that are
so.
probably upset about it, but I think there's more people that are upset when they have to come down here.
Yeah,
holding it in
person, last year we had
Yep.
Either
people
that,
were happy.
either that, or you
Yeah,
just
just-
add it
yeah.
on and just say these are the fees and everything that accepts them.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there any concern of people paying in person and then just bailing at the last minute, saying, I'm sorry, but we signed up in Goodhue and you've already committed to all that stuff? If they haven't paid, they don't have skin in the game?
Well, no, they cannot sign up until they pay in person. So if you can't sign up and pay online, then you can't sign up or pay until you do it in person.
Mhm.
I'm not taking any signups without payment.
Right.
perfect.
So then the sign up would have to be here, or you're not waiting until the pool?
It's at the
I
pool.
would wait till the pool opens.
Yeah, so, but the online registration will stay open that entire
Yeah,
time.
it'll be open the entire time so they can see it, but there isn't a way to register before in person. Till the pool.
So I'm still confused. If you got a spot for 20 people in swimming lessons and all 20 people sign up online and 10 of them say, I'll just pay you later.
They can't sign up if they
They
don't.
can't sign up.
Until you pay. So like,
Gotcha.
you have to add it to your cart and pay.
Yep.
There's no other way to do it.
Okay, and then when they sign up online, now, can you break that down to the age groups and what lessons they need and all
Yep.
that? So you can see all that information?
Yep,
Awesome.
I came in and sat down with Miranda and we looked at it the other
Wonderful.
day to like, here, would this work?
Yep.
Because that was kind of my thing is, I wanted to do last year in person because it was my first time, but then I knew I wanted to find a way to do it online, but I wanted to have a year of in person with questions so that I knew what I
How
wanted
you
to
want to
do.
break it down?
Yep.
Great.
Yep,
Have we reached out to the lifeguards that were lifeguards last year?
yes. I sent them all the link individually, personally, said I would love to have you back.
And then how many?
Well, 14.
14.
Well, 13 of them.
14.
13 and one new.
One new.
13 and 1 new.
That's it, all right.
And there was one or two that I didn't expect to come back just because they've kind of
Moved on.
aged out of
Yep.
wanting to come back in lifeguard, so I'll kind of reach out to the other ones just in case it's something that they haven't done. And I've had a couple conversations with kids at school that have asked me about it, but haven't filled the thing, so I'll touch base with them again too. So that's the nice thing, I can get it in the announcements and talk to them in the hallway and be like, hey, you fill it out yet?
Right.
So, I'm working on that. Last two things. Do we have an idea of when we can open the pool? Or when we want to open the pool?
It's always that first week in June, I think.
So
But
okay.
we haven't set a date yet either.
And is the,
So this,
how long are you guys in school for? I'm used to Iowa time, like they're done in May, so like this is a brand new ballgame for me.
June 2nd is the last day of school.
Okay.
I'm in school the 3rd still, so obviously it wouldn't open on a Friday anyway. So I don't know if we would do the 6th, which is that very next Monday. Or, and
I
then
think so.
the 13th is the first lesson, so I would hope the
We have
6th
it
if we can
running.
make it work.
I like to run it that week before and have it running.
Okay, so I will tentatively plan the 6th.
That's crossing our fingers again.
Tentatively, I said tentatively. And then if anybody, do you want me to give you the dates of lessons, Miranda, so you have it in there?
Yes, please.
Okay. First one would be June 13th through June 24th. Okay, July is July 11th through July 22nd. And the last one is August 8th through August 19th. Yep. And it worked perfectly because I'm getting married on the 30th of July and that's right between the two sessions.
You got time for that?
Congratulations.
So, congrats.
I don't know if you got time for that in between.
You have to tell Jordan, sorry.
I'll let them know.
Pool, sorry, pool season.
Priority.
Yeah. Pool season, we're gonna have to wait.
So, yes.
I don't have a problem.
Last thing, okay, this is kind of exciting. I've never done anything like this before, but I think that this is cool. So somebody sent me, Jen from school, sent me a Minnesota Youth Water Safety State grant, like information. And so it was published on the 21st of March. It's due April 22nd. And there is $110,000 available each year. And the grant amount is a minimum award of $10,000 and a max of $30,000 for 2 years. So each for 2 years, so double it. And then let's see, what is it? Required. So basically you have to have, it's for, let me read the right thing here. Okay. These state funds are available primarily for the purpose of providing low-income and at-risk children with scholarships for swimming lessons based on nationally recognized water safety curriculum, which we use Red Cross, so that's perfect. Up to 15% of the grant funds may also be used to hire water safety instructors or lifeguards, or to train water safety instructors or lifeguards. So since we, as a park board, pay for or reimburse their trainings, we could use 15% of that money for that. And then also we do a lot of individual one-to-one special needs type lessons, or did last year. And sometimes that becomes kind of a lot for some families cost-wise, and also for guards who are doing that. I think that maybe some of that could be
Compensated through there.
differently. Just because it is more of like a one-to-one, right in your face kind of thing. And which is awesome, and I'm so happy that we are able to do that. But I think that this would be, so I'm gonna work on it. I have been in contact with the lady who's running it just to make sure that we fit the need bracket for free reduced price lunches, because the lunches have been free for the last 2 years, so people aren't filling out the packets that make them eligible. So I said, well, how do I know if we're eligible? Because our numbers are lower because of this. And she came back and said, nope, you're at 30-some%. You're fine. You qualify. So I will be working on this and get this submitted. So hopefully.
What's the grant called?
It is the Minnesota Youth Water Safety state fiscal years. I don't know.
Is that Jen Klein? you're
Okay, so
working with?
Minnesota Youth Water Safety Grant.
Jen from Community Ed sent this to me.
Okay.
Jen used to be Birdfine, now it's Lowman, I think, yeah. And then, yeah. Yep. And then to be able to offer that, for, even if we do a discount for, I don't know how you determine who, but I suppose they'll give some kind of ideas or
Yeah.
something that goes with that. But to have potentially, $20,000-$30,000 to be able to offer lessons, to people and not have it be a major cost, I think would be a really,
Well, I think both for the lifeguard and if there's especially a special needs, that would be an awesome
yeah.
thing to be able to give both of them to
And if we can,
improve it.
somehow if I can say, if you filled out I don't know how that works with the school, I'll have to ask. If I could say, have you, like, here, can you fill out paperwork and qualify for this, then we can offer lessons in this too.
Through the summer.
And I can let anybody can fill out the paperwork to see if you qualify. It doesn't matter to me. And I don't know, I'll have to know more about how they would qualify for it, but I think that'd be a really good thing. And if we are able to offer that to, families in the community, I think that's even more of a push towards a new pool, like here, look at all these things that we can do and offer and, put forward to the community. So
That's great.
that's kind of the latest things. That's it. That's all I got.
Good find.
Thank you very
I never
much
find it
for all your
on
work.
that, but
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to summer staff job expectation. Is that
That's this.
this one? Okay,
So that's a list that we have for part-time seasonal workers that we put together. And just look it over, and if there's anything that you guys would want to see added to it, I think we've worked on this just a little bit. I mean, because we talked about the softball fields and doing some extra mowing out there. That's on here and will continue to be. If there's anything else as far as the parks go that you think should be added, just, we can mark it up and leave it with us. We'll add it to the list.
Do we want them to be raking the ball fields?
I mean,
Multiple mowings, you won't have to rake because it won't get to the point where you're starting to
Well,
windrow it.
the infield.
Oh,
I think Houston, AJ, does he still take care of that?
So AJ does that on game day only, when he chalks the field and preps everything and gets it going. As it sits right now, it's been requested of the youth coaches after they're done with all their stuff to go with the hand rakes and do that, which they're not really been doing because they didn't have access to the, I guess, concession stand where the rakes are being kept and things like that. So if we start keeping the rakes outside on the fence and they don't get taken or damaged or whatever, then the coaches could do that. But it certainly would maintain and drive down like the weeds and the things like that. It's just, it would be better if we could have someone do it on the regular basis, but there's no reason why we can't reach back out to the coaches as long as some of the equipment is there.
it's available.
Yep.
Is the concession key separate from the restroom key?
Yes.
It
So
is.
the restroom
So-
key is strictly for the,
Well, so I was gonna say,
doors.
could we put the rakes in the restroom? Because we lock it usually.
They can have a key to
you could, but we could get them a key to
To
the
the
concession stand.
concession.
There's nothing in the concession stand currently that's of any value, so there's no reason that they couldn't.
Yeah, I think we should be able to get the coaches the key to the concession stand to get to the equipment.
Why is it a separate key?
for the bathrooms, the.
Yeah,
why aren't they all keyed the same?
yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something that the coaches could do. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to do a partial, like to fill in some of the bags in the home plate and stuff when they're doing that versus just a full-blown
Yeah.
grading of the field like Houston will do on game day.
We want that added to the list?
Potentially, I don't know that it's that important for them to do that. I guess my only concern would be is that this obviously isn't a priority list. This is just all the duties that they may be asked to fulfill. But like, I would hope that the majority of the stuff that they do and the highest priority would be anything that's driven towards the park, because that was kind of the idea, right? Is that it was going to be some of those dedicated and doing things around the park.
I mean, they're gonna take care of the parks, I should put it this way. Whoever we get will be taking care of like the bathrooms and getting that stuff taken care of. That'll free up the guys out there to start on stuff right away in the mornings instead of doing that stuff. Take care of the park stuff first, but they'll fill in wherever we have to do.
Correct. Yep, because we had talked about them even potentially using, like the Razor Gator or whatever and running around and doing a lot of this stuff first. Yep. Did we ever talk about cleaning off or sweeping or doing the trail system, or is that completely different than, I mean, have we ever done that? I know a lot of times, just like the pathway along the river and stuff gets a lot of debris and different things on there.
They sweep them off every so often.
Who does that?
Well, so that's the city, I mean, and that's separate from the parks. But
Okay.
The city, the street guys take care of that.
Okay. And what about the Veterans Memorial? Who's going to be responsible for mowing around that and keeping that clean?
That's still parks.
That's park, so should that be added to this list then too? Because the cement is poured and,
Right, we got, yeah.
Is that considered a satellite park, or yes, no?
So we take care of that area now, but not necessarily, I mean, I'm sure we'll have to take care of, I'll have to talk with the VFW at the Legion a little bit, because I don't know, you know, as time goes on, some of those monuments will probably get kind of like up the cemetery, the headstones get mildew, or
cleaned, yeah.
there'll probably have to be some cleaning aspect to that, but, and Al can reach out as they get a little further along, but, so my understanding is they want the majority of that up by Memorial Day, you know, I think they won't have if I remember right, they won't have the monuments up inside, but they're gonna get the flags around the outside for sure. I think they already got the flags, Brad's already got them, so they're gonna get them up. And we got a little bit of talk on that down the line here too, on that parking lot.
Okay.
I'll make a note of that, Mary, and we'll discuss that a little more with them.
Okay.
I don't know what kind, to be honest with you, I don't know what kind of maintenance will be involved, but I'm sure there's gonna be some maintenance to it.
Anything else? Okay. And we're on to new business. Story walk request. Hi, Paula.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Paula Steigerwald. I'm the youth librarian at the Sparta Library. And I was hoping to ask for permission to put the story walk up in Covered Bridge Park again this summer. The goal is to I'm hoping to put it on the same stretch of the path that I have in previous years. It would go up the first week of June and then come down the last week of August. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about that also.
How many years have you done it now, Paula? Is this be the second?
2 years.
2 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, this would be 3.
Yeah.
It's still a great thing, love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
love
awesome.
it. Yeah, my kids love it. It's a wonderful thing to have.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yep, June
Yeah.
through August.
June through August.
June through August. And this is a library project, right?
Yes, the library staff would take care of setup, take down, any maintenance that needs to be done while it's up.
Okay.
Love it.
So we need to have a motion.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the public library repeating their endeavor on the walk on the parkway.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you, Paula. It's awesome.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, now on to campground rules. So what is our mission with looking at the rules here tonight? Are we rewriting them or?
Just
Just to get some ideas of what some local places
Okay.
put
overview
in
of.
place. 'Cause
Okay.
We really just have our park rules.
Mhm.
You guys wanna,
Oh.
did you find another set of rules?
That was brought there, you guys.
So I had brought that up because there used to be an old sign
Yeah.
that was there before, when the road went all the way around and we redid it. Right there was an old wooden sign that used to be there.
But is any of that included in an ordinance anywhere?
No, but there was, the park rules is different than that, just that little bit of park rules.
Gotcha.
The or the campground, I should say, there was actual campground rules.
Gotcha,
Was more detailed than what,
gotcha.
but we can include that next time we find it, include that, just, or send it out to you so you can compare what other ones are.
Correct.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we had like wrote down what our actual rules are at this point, but if they're just the same as like the park rules,
No, they're different.
they're different? Okay.
So there's actual campground rules and then there's park rules. Some of them overlap, but campground rules are definitely more detailed.
Okay.
And I think I'll print them out and then send them out. That way you can
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd like to see those.
compare
Just see what we have.
everybody else's.
Correct. And then I like the idea of comparing them to like neighboring or, close campgrounds in the proximity. And I really like the idea of getting new signage and new stuff posted out there that has, we had talked about putting up a local telephone number that transfers to the host, if that ends up being a thing. I think that's a great idea to have that right there when you enter the campground.
And we'll have a phone for the host, right?
Correct, yeah.
We talked about that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Do we want to do this here, or do we want to wait for the rules that we have now to come out?
Yeah, I would wait till you get your new rules, but now
Yep.
you have all these so you can compare them and you guys can
Yep.
kind of take your highlighter and highlight the ones you
Right.
like and see
Yep.
what applies to us. Cause like there's stuff with swimming and
Yep.
tubing and whatnot, but
Right,
you know.
right.
So
Yeah.
that can be our homework for
Yeah.
next week, next month?
Correct.
Okay. Is that all right with you?
That sounds great.
Okay, sounds good. All right, wading pool removal bid.
So there's a quote in the back of your packets from Schumacher's to remove the baby pool. And I think from what I'm getting from everybody, there's no drain on that, so there's no way to get that to drain out. So, and it's hard to get in there to back it out every time that we get some leaves in there, and it starts to stink. So, and my recommendation is that we would take care of the topsoil ourselves, saves $2,500, and I don't think that's too bad of a price to get rid of that pool. The only thing is, I'm gonna have to get a different fence put up on the baby pool side between the big pool and the baby pool, and I don't have a cost on that yet, because that's just that short.
4-footer, yeah,
Yeah.
to come up to code.
Right.
Is there
Gotcha.
any possibility we can repurpose or reuse some of the fencing from the baby pool and just slide it over?
I'd have to look into that a little bit, how that would come apart, and that stuff is, some of the poles are rotted off at the cement.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the chain link or the barbed wire, or whatever is right there, and you just gotta replace some poles.
You just gotta be a little careful, because once you start messing with that stuff.
Then you're messing with the original structure and then ADA
So
and
what
all kinds of-
our fence is not compliant, because of triangles in there. I just want to make sure that once you do that, they might make you replace the whole darn fence. I don't know. So if we can use part of the old fence would be all right, as long as nobody says anything too much, because I know I don't think the barbed wire on top is
legal.
real kosher anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be my only concern about.
It's like, is it baby prison or what?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll just stand over there with my duty belt on, it's fine.
My only concern then with getting rid of the baby pool is if we end up having to incur some unnecessary cost to get our fence up to code, just to avoid.
And I can check with Brad on that. I'll check with Brad Thatcher on that.
Right.
Yeah.
We can approve this with caveat that.
Otherwise, it might be easier just to fill that baby pool with sand and be done with it for 2 years. Sandbox, kitty litter box.
Oh, gross.
The problem is it doesn't drain underneath, so it's just gonna be a nasty
Oh, that would be a
sandbox.
horrible smell.
Well, we would have a spot for people to dump their kitty litter instead of the cardboard bins.
Recycle bins.
Brady, you want to manage a pool?
What's that?
You want to manage the pool and smell the cat litter every day?
I think that was a yes.
Okay, so do we have a motion to proceed with this with the caveat about the fence?
A motion to proceed with getting the excavation part of this done.
With,
Second.
does that cover us with the caveat for the fence?
With the caveat that it
The
does.
caveat for the fence, yeah, throw that in there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
I want to clarify, are we approving it as the 6,500 or with the city doing the
The city
topsoil
removing the
themselves?
topsoil and
Yes.
then no stipulation that the fence needs to be up to code.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy.
Okay, skate park discussion. There's a letter here. Is this it from Derek Chapin?
Yes, he wasn't able to attend, but he is the resident that I don't know if we've brought it up at a public meeting or if it's just been individually with you guys. He's the one that expressed interest in starting a group to kind of help fundraise and maintain the skate park. And so he officially started his Facebook group, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight, but the letter is in lieu of that.
Okay.
And so he had a couple questions, so I told him I would relay your guys' answers.
I think the park maintenance was attempted to start last year, but we were having trouble finding somebody to maintain it. And then that special board that's on there was part of that.
Is that the skate light? Is that the board?
That must be the special type of.
Yeah, that's the
Whatever.
board that's on there that
Oh.
can kind of bend and
Then,
whatever.
Because it's looking like he's kind of wanting to get the group to kind of take this kind of stuff over.
And help out and maintain, and I think it's great, but
I gave him Mike's contact information because I said, other than you guys, Mike is going to be the point person for most of this.
I haven't heard from anybody. The guy I was trying to get ahold of, I got contact information from Jim Para last year, because he's the one who was the driving
Started
factor
it,
in that
yep.
whole thing. He's since, and I think there's still a little money and some money that he had set us, they had from fundraising anyway. But that guy, apparently he was sick, and I have never been able to get, he never returned calls, so I think it's, if this guy reaches out to me, it'd be a good, I think just a fresh start from scratch, because there was actually a lot of boards that have to be replaced, and that stuff's not cheap, so. It'd be nice to get an idea how much, again, from this guy, or if he can help find somebody who's into the skate park stuff. And I'm sure there's people out there.
Do we have a phone number for him?
No, he emailed me, so he's preferring to communicate virtually.
Because I think that, yeah, if we could, work together with him and just tell him that, yeah, we're willing to, we got, not, it's fine to fundraise and everything, but, that stuff has to be fixed real fast here. So I don't know if we have time to fundraise for that, because it's in tough shape.
I think he's looking to make this a long-term thing, not just
Right.
a fix it and then leave it alone kind of a thing. So yeah, I think he would be receptive to maybe not fundraising now, or they can start fundraising now, but we don't need it by a certain date.
yeah, I think walking out there, Fred, I think there's just a couple of the surfaces that need to be like re-screwed off and whatnot. And I know that there was one or two of them that were cracked, maybe could be replaced. But I think a lot of it's just getting the old screws out and replacing them and fixing it up that way so it's usable. And then some maintenance to the actual deck down there where that concrete started to fall. So there's some chipping and stuff that could be, skimmed over to make it better for the kids. But just that kind of maintenance from the general wear and tear needs to be done immediately. But as far as expanding or doing anything else, I mean, that's more of the long-term thing. But I think it's pretty simple what needs to be fixed. We just need to find somebody to do it that specializes in that board. Yeah, I'm trying to look up some right now.
Yeah, so is going after this wood even the best way to do this? Because the skate parks that I've been seeing, especially like up in the cities are all cement. They're all going cement.
So I think that's probably a valid point, but then I don't know if we can, so those are portable. So now if we put something like those big cement things there, I don't know if we can put that in the floodplain like that.
Yeah, because it'll be a
Oh.
permanent structure.
And that's
These are-
floodplain there.
That's
These are
floodplain.
movable surfaces, so
Okay,
they
all right.
qualify to go in that
Okay,
area.
got it. All right, I'll be quiet.
Maybe we don't have to empty the baby pool after all, maybe turn that into a skate park.
Utilizing your resources.
They can get through the kitty litter.
I really don't think the folks out there would want a skate park in that
No.
neighborhood.
No.
No.
What,
Alright.
what size, I mean, like, do you know what size the boards are? I'm just looking at the skate
I
light.
think they're like 4x8s. They look like regular sheets of plywood or whatever. I saw Pine Island has a skate park.
Yeah, it's right here on the phone.
Yeah, maybe we could reach out to them and see if they have a skate park maintenance person or,
No.
and then, yeah, I can make a call down to Rochester, Mike, because I know they got a skate park down there. I could talk to somebody from the city of Rochester.
Todd or Wayne from Pine Island too, so.
Because the ones in Pine Island look like ours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So it sounds like there's two phases that need to happen here. One is just the immediate repair of what's going on there, which would be our concern to take care of that right away. And then phase two would be to reach back out to Derek and say, absolutely, if you have people, community members that are involved in expanding or fundraising or something, that would go towards future expansion, stuff like that. We could definitely give him permission to fundraise on behalf of the expansion if we have some sort of goal in mind? Or do we want him to fundraise for a potential earmarked account for just future repairs and things like that? Regardless, he can start fundraising and take off on behalf of the city, or the park board, I should say.
Something kind of like what they did in the first place, like,
Yeah.
with the canteen, like, if you just start doing something, then you just have a little,
Cans
a little bit
or-
every once in a while, adds up.
just so long as they understand that it has to be a movable structure.
yeah, and I think Derek
Yep.
is gonna be fine with, yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
I think he's just ready to jump in and help out, and he's passionate about it.
But this skate light surface, I just looked it up, it's for a 4x8, it's $189.
Yeah, yeah, they're not cheap, and then the screws, you gotta have lifetime screws in there, so probably like a stainless steel screw or whatever.
I know when I
Everything
talked
has to be pre-drilled and,
Right, so I know when I talked to Jim, he definitely recommended to have people who work on that to do that work.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
So
Plus
maybe
there's-
Pine Island could give us,
A general direction.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got somebody too that helps out, so, you
Yep.
know, maybe between that, I'll reach out to Rochester and I'll see if they can, if they have
Yep.
somebody for their
Yep.
skate park, so,
Maybe we can start a skateboard co-op.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I was thinking Derek, with all of his supporters, he may have someone who knows of a certified repair person, or maybe having someone on his staff, you know, somewhere, his committee, that works for somebody. You never know.
Mhm.
So we could also ask him too, if he knows of anybody.
Miranda, are you good sending a reply back to him? Thank you. All right, lifeguard wage discussion.
So I included in the packet what you guys had voted on last year for the wages. And I don't know if they get a cost of living raise every year, so I'm not sure if that.
What are other pools doing? Because last year we voted on this, and this was just to keep us competitive with surrounding
Yeah.
pools and not losing any lifeguards. So do you know off the top of your head if anybody else went up?
I don't.
Gotcha. It's okay. That would be my only concern is if
Mhm.
everybody else's pool prices are jumping up by 25 cents or 50 cents or something, that we would want
We
to do
have
the
to.
same thing so that we
Compete.
compete.
I think we're still pretty in line with everybody. Wanamingo posted their, starting rate in their, application in the paper, or their article in the paper. And yeah, I would say we're right there with them.
So we're just looking to keep the prices the same and we're looking for permission to just stay the same?
Yeah, my only other concern with, and I don't know that I don't have enough experience or anything in this area, but is, I mean, not only with other pools, but just other jobs. If you can
Right.
go to McDonald's and make, I don't know what they make. I don't know, I need to ask. But like, if you can go there and make $13, why are you gonna go to the pool and make $9.50?
And you're done by 6.
Right. Oh, geez.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
To work with me.
I agree, and me, what else could they want?
Story about that all, something
Yeah, I
later.
know. Between like some babysitters or nannies, yeah, they're pulling in more money than what you are for being actually a certified lifeguard. To sit home and watch TV while the baby naps.
The only thing that makes it a little hairy though is that, like, this is a seasonal position. So you can tinker with it a little bit because like McDonald's is a full-time, or like even if you're part-time, like they're open all year, you know?
Right.
So I know that that was part of like the issue when they were looking at raising wages at my pool way back in the dinosaur ages, it feels like now. But anyways, so like, I know that that's, has something to do with it too, is that it's like, because it's a seasonal position, they can fudge the wages up a little bit, so.
Right, yeah, this is a sprint, not an endurance race. This is just a quick little couple of weeks out of the summer. And it would definitely help your application process if you could be competitive or more than competitive.
So I can look into that more, but I just want to make sure that whatever I have here is accurate so that when I'm talking to guards and having conversations about starting everything and all of that, that I have the right information. And I know that we do have, whoever the head guard is on duty is $1 more an hour for
Yep.
that, just for that shift.
Do you have somebody in line for that position this year?
So last year, what I did is I had anybody that had been there 3 or 4 years, I think. And then I just had, like, if they were able to do it, I had it denoted on the schedule. And then, like, they were just highlighted. So then, like, they knew they were the head guard and so did everybody else on that shift.
Yep.
And if they wanted to switch, then they had to switch with someone who could be the head guard.
You agree, you got people that are
I have
gonna
a
be
couple that
okay?
could come back.
Okay.
Yep,
And they are
I mean, a couple.
responsible for the additional duties of all the stuff.
Yep, they were responsible for the money drop and all that extra kind of
Yep.
on top, other stuff. They were the
what
person
do
who
we-
caught me, so then I knew who it was.
Hello?
Go ahead, Fred.
What do we pay our lifeguards now?
Money?
Slightly more than our park board.
Yeah. Starting under 18 is $9.50. Year 1 is $10.25. Year 2 is $10.50. And then it goes up by 25 cents increment to year 8 at $12. What does WSI stand for?
Water safety instructor.
So, and then that bumps them by 50% if they're a WSI, and if they're lead, they're bumped by 50% or 50 cents an hour.
Yeah.
So the lowest is $9.50 to the highest of $13.50.
And I just want to make sure that it's noted that the lead is only one person a shift. So
One
even
a
if you're
shift.
capable of being that person, if you are not scheduled as that person, you are
You're
not being paid
Okay.
that. And then that was denoted on their time card, and so they got paid separately for those hours.
So are we looking for a motion just to approve that the wage at least stays the same, if not needs to be increased to be competitive?
I think so.
That would be the
I
motion.
think that's fair.
I'm willing to make a motion to say that the wage at very minimum stays the same as it did last year. And that if we do find out that other pools are increasing in order to stay competitive, we adjust our rates to stay competitive as well. And we can vote on those prices if we need to, but I would definitely
Mhm.
we stay the same.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
With the lifeguard stuff too, I know last year you ordered a bunch of swag and stuff like that. Is that anything that you need to get approved now to get that rolling, or?
How did we approve it last year, Miranda? Did we approve, because the things that we ordered last year only were a swimsuit per person, I believe. Did we approve it as only 1 year, or did we approve that?
I don't remember.
You just said you had one new one coming back, and I don't know if everybody's still the same size or do the thing. I mean, is that considered part of their incentive and part of their wage? Because I would definitely think that that would be something.
Yeah.
Come back, you get a new suit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think every year.
Well, and every year, everybody's body changes anyway. I don't-
Mhm.
Correct.
And then by the time you know, the ones who work every single day, if they're swimming in it, then you got a suit that's
Oh,
used
they
every day. They
stretch
go
Yeah.
real quick.
Especially if you're doing lessons and guarding and doing more lessons and.
Yeah, no, I think this swimsuit should be a thing every year. We did order clothes and stuff last year, but that was at cost to the person who ordered it. You know, it wasn't, we didn't pay for any of that as a
So I
board.
don't know if that is
Yeah.
a separate motion or if we can include that in the motion we just voted on, but I would like to incorporate the same thing that we had last year. Is that a cost of, I think you had 2 suits, wasn't it? Or was it just one? Okay.
So one for guard.
I think another motion for that would be fine.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to include a new suit for each lifeguard that is hired this season.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
I hope I can get those ordered right away this year.
Okay.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Yeah.
It's a tie.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Race.
And then Veterans Memorial Parking Lot, do we have,
Well, I don't know if there's any, just wanted to add it back to the new business, and we discussed it a little bit, but I can't remember which meeting it was, but we talked about the park board contributing or doing the parking lot for, because that's on park land. And then, so I had S&L Contracting, and I also got Rochester Sand and Gravel, but I asked them if they do anything for donating towards that stuff, and he didn't tell me, he said yes, he didn't tell me exactly what it would be. So I think there's good opportunity to work with a contractor too in donating towards that. But just kind of a reminder that you're gonna get that and the big stuff in there, and then we're gonna work on that driveway and parking lot and get that put in there new. That's gonna be a cost back to the park board, whatever is not donated towards that.
okay. And that will be done when, do we know?
Well, I'm hoping before Memorial Day, but I'm not 100% sure on how everything lines up with contractors either.
Okay, so is it our responsibility to get the contractors, or is that the VFW's responsibility?
That'll be ours.
Ours. Okay. And you're taking care of that? Thank you. And then the last thing on the agenda is the term limits for us. It's here somewhere, but I,
The red, yellow,
Board rules. It's the color.
oh, okay, yep, I see it right here. Got it. Yep, okay.
Here we are.
Okay,
So this is just where we're standing, so it looks like Fred will have to be done at the end of next year. But then everybody else is still good to go if you choose to.
and so then that would mean we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 all going off at the same time, which makes it really tough.
Yes, you're right.
Then we're gonna be running it again.
So you're asking one of us to leave with Fred?
No, no, not at all.
I was like, please don't abandon me.
Yeah, I'm not, I could look back, because I'm not sure where the dates got so skewed, because we typically,
Wait, what do you mean Fred's done before? He has the same day as everybody else.
he's in
No,
his
he's
second
Second
term.
term.
He's in his second
I'd like to
term.
point out that I was approved at the same time as Troy, but
Right.
my date, my year is wrong.
Yes, because you guys, what do you mean your date is wrong?
Because it says
Oh,
3/4/22.
Gotcha, oh, yeah. Oh, you know what I did? I clicked and dragged.
Oh, and it did the next year?
Mhm.
Just wanted to point that out.
Yep.
I've been here for a year, not a month.
I'll double check that. Cindy has a really old handwritten list that I can look back to.
Oh, jeez.
It goes back to the early 90s.
So there really is no way to fix the stagger, is there?
Well, I'm gonna look and make sure that that's accurate.
Okay.
I'm gonna go back a little, because I did go back farther than the 2017 date on here, but
Okay,
I didn't think we really needed the whole thing.
List.
But that,
okay,
that seems right that Mary, Troy, and Caleb are all on.
yeah,
Fraud.
that
You guys are
feels
all-
right, yeah.
Well, and now would it make a difference that Mary finished somebody else's term, but it doesn't count as your first term because it was more than half done? So I bet
Oh.
that's where the numbers.
That's
got
where it
off.
got off.
Yeah.
So that means I would then have to be the next one to go off.
Nope.
Let's not make this a race.
Poor Troy and I are over here like, oh, Lord.
What you did finishing up
Right.
his term doesn't count towards your.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, I'm punished, okay. Let me get it now.
Or blessed, whichever way
Yes.
you want to see it. So are you looking for a motion for Fred to finish my term?
I am looking for no motion, this was simply informational.
Thank you for the information.
He's got a lot of lifeguarding to do here.
Nay.
Sorry, Fred, your mic's not working.
I think he just gave you a nay.
Wilson. We'll call you Wilson.
All right, is there anything else?
Oh, did we talk about the Veterans Memorial parking lot?
Yes.
We did.
Where were you?
Yeah, yeah, Mike's gonna look into it. He talked to him. They said they do donations, but they didn't say how much. So we gotta figure out where that's gonna be. And it's coming out of the park board fund.
And he's
What else do
on
you
top
need?
of it.
I was typing my other.
You were doing something.
Yeah, and we're trying to get it done before
Memorial Day. That's our
Miranda
goal.
Joe.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Yeah.
I think I was in another dimension. I'm gonna have to rewatch that to make sure it actually happened.
Now you're calling us liars?
I think what you're trying to say is you're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Right, that's what I'm looking for.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I will second the
all
motion.
in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carried, thank you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Amy.
Mary? See, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that it goes an hour and a half.